Welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport.
So there wasn't very much on this weekend, but we did have some pretty special things on offer. As we have crash-heavy NASCAR from Talladega, a last-minute shock in the British Touring Car finale, and a case of inevitability with the V8 supercars in the Bathurst 1000. So that said, I am still dying of the cold, and I want to get through this as quick as possible before the Lemsip wears off. So let's begin. Let's start with the Bathurst 1000, a shockingly dull race which is kind of surprising. Scott McLaughlin won again, I think that's 18 from 27, with Shane Van Gisbergen in second place. A first win on the mountain for McLaughlin and Alexandra Premat, which will be a special moment for them. Waters and Moffat had a moment together that left them both stranded in the gravel, and Heimgartner hit the wall towards the end of the race. But honestly, this was not the most exciting race in the history of the Peter Brock Trophy. Next, NASCAR had a crash-heavy race at Talladega. Blaney spun going into the pits from the lead, right at the end of stage 1. And then the race was stopped for a rain break, because NASCARs don't work on water. Then the first big crash. Alex Bowman spun and took out Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Larson and Martin Truex, as well as others, and ruined a few races' day. Then 26 laps from the end, a huge pile-up took out half the field. Then as the few cars that remained got going again, the Busch brothers got together and wiped out a few more cars. Brendan Gaughan flipped his car very neatly, landing on his wheels. There was another crash as the cars approached the line, and Ryan Blaney won by a gnat's penis length from Newman. So Blaney and Larson are through to the final 8, and there is one race to go. Finally, the British Touring Car finale from Brands Hatch. Turkington led from Camish and Jordan, and shot off into the lead at the start. Cook would wreck whatever slim chance he had by going off, and then Simpson would slam into the wall and bring out the safety car. But then the rain came, and half the field pitted for tyres. Turkington and Sutton began to struggle in the rain, letting Camish take the lead. Osborne and Proctor would both crash out, as would Jake Hill, who had a great race running as high as 3rd. But it was Neil and Chilton who had dived into the pits for wets, who flew through the field, getting past Jordan and Turkington, and finishing on the podium behind race winner Dan Camish, which left the title well open between the top 3. Race 2 started with a big crash for Jack Goff, who spun and took out Morgan and Oliphant, and then Matt Neal spun Colin Turkington, helping teammate Camish, although it definitely was not on purpose. Jordan would get past Neal and the two would make contact, and Mark Blundell would spin and bring out the safety car. After the restart, Jordan would get past Camish, keeping his title hopes alive. Plato was flying through the field, but on the last lap ran wide and threw it all away. Ashley Sutton would win from Jordan and Camish, with Turkington out the points. And this left Camish in the lead of the championship, and with the advantage going into the final race. In fact, it would take a miracle for Turkington to fight through the field and win the championship, wouldn't it? Tom Chilton would crash at the start of the final race, followed by Proctor being spun by Cook out of the race, but it was Turkington stealing the show, fighting through the field and getting past Camish along with Ingram. But it looked like it wasn't going to be enough. But then with 2 laps remaining, it looked like something failed on Dan Camish's car, and he spun off and out the race, throwing the title away at the last. Must have been heartbreaking for him. Jason Plato would win the race, his 27th win at Brands Hatch, which is pretty amazing in itself. But it was Colin Turkington who would win his 4th championship, equaling the 34-year record of racing legend Andy Rouse, who won his last title in 1985. Although the format of the class system in the late 80s was ridiculous and he should have won more. 2019 was a great season in touring cars. 13 different winners, and after 30 rounds, the top 3 were separated by just 2 points. More of that, please. So that's everything. Pretty meagre offerings, but it gets worse. Next week, we only have NASCAR. So I'll probably do something other than a weekly roundup. I'm recovering, so hopefully I'll do some more videos later in the week. With that said, drive safely and have a really good week. different winners, and after 30 rounds, the top three were separated by just 2 points.